Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully everyone had a good lunch. My name is Maddie. I'm the head of growth at Solana Labs. And today we have a great set of speakers here to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is degeneracy on Solana, which is basically a lot of the stuff that you see with DeFi, yield farming, trading, lending, and borrowing. And so we're going to cover a lot today. Just to give some context about the DeFi ecosystem on Solana, it peaked out over 15 billion in TVL just recently. That's up about 14 billion in just the last, I think, 4 months. So the growth rate is quite high. Trading volumes on protocols like Radium and Serum are going up quite a bit, and there's a lot of new primitives coming online. So I'm really excited to speak to all of these guys about what they're working on and also kind of their views on the market. But first, maybe it'd be good to just go around the panel and introduce yourself and your companies you work for.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Maddie. So I'm Goose Wayne. I'm with the Goose Effects project. Goose Effects is basically a complete DeFi suite. You can do crypto trading, synthetics. We're launching our NFT store about in 3-4 weeks, and single-sided liquidity pools. And we're also working on some very cool stuff, such as NFT lending and hopefully NFT perps. So you can ape into those.
Cool. I'm Henry Elder. I'm with Foresight. We're a order book-based prediction model, prediction market. We're built using the Anchor framework on top of Serum, and I guess we're doing a soft demo launch at Foresight.exchange during the conference, and then a proper DevNet demo in early December, and then mainnet a couple of months after that. That's me.
Hey guys, so I'm Geoffrey, co-founder of Exotic Markets. So our goal with Exotic is to offer like structured product and sustainable yield for everybody. So we try to keep the things very open in type of products that we could do, type of underlying we could use, so we can use like typical cryptos or things like that, but even like why not code USDC in a way. And our target is to tell people, come to Exotic, reply to some questions, and then we will suggest you like with your risk aversion and things like that, you have on the market some like yield products where you will get paid like real yield in USDC, BTC, Solana, whatsoever.
My name is Yutaro. I am one of the founders of Orca. We are building the most user-friendly DEX on Solana. If you haven't used it before, please just go to orca.so right now. Even my dad was able to figure out how to do a swap, so anyone here can do it.
Cool. So before we kind of jump into the nitty-gritty of like DeFi and your projects, I'd love to start out with just more of a philosophical question for each one of you. So I know that some of you have been anon at some point or have not been. I would love to just go around the panel and try to get your views on the pros and cons of starting a crypto project as a anon or not. So maybe, Goose, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the pros, I guess, are pretty apparent. You're kind of behind the scenes. You can work on the product. Very focused on that. I guess people aren't DMing me on my personal Twitter or anything too much. Cons would definitely be always thinking of, you don't want to get doxxed. Like we launched on exchanges this week, and one of the exchanges put my full name on the website, so we had to take that down ASAP. But yeah, there's always some risks there. But otherwise, it's been a great experience.
I guess my philosophy is just that it's very difficult to be anonymous on the internet unless you've got incredibly good operational security. And even Gooseman, you're here in person, so someone recognizes your face out there who you went to school with or something. And yeah, I think the con for me is just that it's like the mental load of having to like think, am I going to get doxxed? Have I just revealed my information? Have I spent too much time in one time zone? It's just easier just to be like, okay, cool. I know that I'm totally public. Like I haven't hidden my second name. Even on Discord, I guess I'm relatively open about who I am. And just having that awareness that that's the, I guess, direction that I'm taking. I can just work around that. I can be like, okay, cool. I'm not going to say anything too crazy since I know it's under my real name. I save it for the degen panel.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit harder, I guess, to be anonymous today. I mean, we would like to be like Satoshi, I guess, but it's a little bit tough sometimes to onboard, like in our case, like for example, like arbitrageurs and everything. It's really important to talk to them to explain like the background of the team, especially part of the team is like former vault traders in hedge fund. So we cannot just hide our names. It's difficult, yeah.
Yeah, I think we have a fairly strong stance here, which is we think that in 5 years, all of the founders for these protocols will not be anonymous. And I think the reason for that is pretty simple. These founders have a lot of responsibility, and they need to be held accountable. And I think that despite all the regulatory uncertainty, founders should be very transparent about what their intentions are and what their motivations are and the value that they're trying to create in the industry. So that's why we're pretty proud of being not anonymous and having our real identity out there.
Interesting. Okay, so getting into DeFi, there's been a lot of new primitives that have come out over the last few months, whether it's a different flavor of AMM or obviously Serum is an order book. I know, Henry, you're building an order book style prediction market, a lot of different types of borrow lend protocols. What primitives have you most excited, whether you're incorporating it into your project yourself, or you can also answer, like, what do you think is like missing in terms of primitives that you'd like to see get built out over the coming months? Whoever wants to start.
I love Mango, Mango Markets. I did some work for them for their IDO pool. But in terms of the product they have, like, my mom uses Mango, just to like to put money on there, and it's a very easy, like, people don't realize that Mango is also a bar lending protocol with like pretty good interest rates. And then a lot of my friends will do like perp trading, so there's a lot of like arbitrage to be done there, a lot of market making. So I guess that's my favorite one. And then also, I guess shout out to Jet Protocol as well, that they're another bar lending protocol, but our front-end engineers said that they have a very good interface. So we're going to probably put a interface to that protocol on our website as well.
Yeah, actually, us, like, something that help us a lot to build Exotic is to talk with Zeta Markets, because they're offering like something more traditional on the option side, some things that I've been using when I was in a hedge fund, and so it will help us like build more sophisticated structured products using their platform and their data. So.
Cool. And it wouldn't be a Degen panel if we didn't talk about tokens and token economics and kind of incentives. So my first question is, when do you guys decide for your projects to release a token? Because on one hand, you can release it immediately and maybe incentivize people to use the product and kickstart your growth cycle. But on the other hand, if you do that too early and you don't have a sticky product, people are going to come for the yield and then filter out the back of the funnel. And so I would love just to go around the room and kind of get your views on like when to release a token. How do you think about timing? So yeah, I don't know who wants to start.
I mean, I can start. We just had our token launch exactly 7 days ago. That was a hectic experience. Starting from the tokenomics, I guess, we spent a good, as a team, 3 to 4 months coming up with the tokenomics, running it through the investors, with the advisors, the community, people that are involved, and making sure we hit all the targets that made everything fair. But also, GooseFX is doing a lot of different things. NFT store, liquidity providing, trading, etc. So we needed to design the tokenomics to be able to have enough supply to provide liquidity to these different aspects of the platform. But also we didn't want to just like mint 10 billion tokens or whatever. As far as launching on exchanges when you're ready, I think personally what we've seen, and I think what works out best, is if you have at least an alpha and you have a decent community. We had a pretty big community in a Discord that we were always engaging with in the very beginning for the first few months and keeping them very engaged. And then when we had to launch, everything went well from there.
Cool. So we haven't launched a token yet. And I think, again, my philosophy is just that the best time to launch is sort of when the product is more or less finished, or like you've got your V1 out there. For us, we're building an Oracle DAO for listing and resolving markets. And I guess we're very much taking the attitude that if we're going to launch tokens to make the whole listing and resolving of prediction markets more decentralized, we want people to be active members and active participants in the DAO. So it's not just sort of we want to avoid people just holding a token for the sake of it. That's our main goal with that. So much more of a cooperative style model than a I don't know buy and hold. That's I guess our main.
Yeah, actually, I do agree with you. I mean, it's never an easy decision because actually you just have one shot, so you just need to make it good at a good moment. So us, we've decided as well to wait that we have the product live because I think it's where it makes sense, especially because we are going the DAO way for sure. So we want people to be able to participate to the new structure products. They would like to see the new pairs they would like to have on the platform. And also, we are incentivizing people to stake because they will get trading fees reduction when there's a token. So we decided to just push it back when we have the platform, so it can be used day one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a hard question to answer, and it really depends on conditions. For example, for us, we felt like we would have some time on our hands. Because we were able to start early. So we committed to launching the token well after we found product market fit. But current conditions are fairly different. It's a lot more competitive. So you may want to think a little differently, or you may want to, I guess you could still just wait until you feel like you have a product in tokenomics that makes sense, especially given that once you have the token out, you can't take it back, right? It's like taking a company public. Except you can't even really go back private at that point. And really, it's can you build something? Can you build a movement where you can bring new people in to the product?
Nice. And then when you come to a decision hey, this is when we need to release a token or provide some sort of incentives to use the product through token distribution, how do you structure, I guess, for your products, to make sure that you're attracting the right type of user? Because if you have maybe a broad program, maybe like you saw in the early days of Ethereum DeFi, you could just get a ton of speculators. They're actually not good fits for the actual product. They just want the token. So how do you versus you see kind of more advanced forms of distribution now where you have to do certain actions within the app that are specifically beneficial and that are maybe you find to have more retention within your customers. So I'm just curious, how do you structure the actual token launch?
Yeah, for us, we have 50,000 people on our Telegram, and it's a nightmare because everyone's just saying, when can we get 1 million returns on the token? And it's just been 1 week. So what we've done is reward the alpha users. People are using the alpha testing, bug bounties, people who are just generally engaged with the ecosystem and don't really care too much about the price. We want to reward those users, and we're definitely tracking all the alpha testers, and that's been really good. A lot of word of mouth comes to play as well. Getting people through your network, your friends, the VC networks, different whale friends that I know, getting them involved as well.
So yeah, our approach is probably going to be something similar to how Mango does it with their liquidity incentives. So outside of rewarding people who are directly involved in the DAO, I think that market making is sort of a very important thing as well. So we can pretty much reward anybody who provides liquidity on the order book. So if you've got any maker orders and they're close to the inside price, then you will get some Seer tokens or Mango tokens. And that seems you're incentivizing the behavior you want to see. You want a liquid market and you want people to trade on it. So that seems like a pretty reasonable approach. But again, it's all experimentation. And I think DeFi 2.0 versus DeFi 1.0 is that you want people to not make more from just using your product. So there's some products, I guess, that are borrow lending that supposedly you can earn more by borrowing, basically. They pay you to borrow.
Yep.
You want to avoid that.
Yeah, actually, it's a bit same for Exotic. For early users, definitely there will be some incentive, especially for valuable feedback. It's always useful to see how the community reacts to it and to incentivize this kind of participation. After we keep like both for the liquidity mining for the guys that will provide liquidity, although it would be just for the beginning because liquidity would be like rewarded with like USDC, Solana, whatsoever part of the trading fees of the protocol. So we just like maybe help a little bit for launch and definitively for arbitrageurs. That's people that we really want to have on our platform too. And we are also thinking like maybe to reward like the biggest users, like biggest retail users, maybe like through like a NFT, like you have been like the biggest user of that month or that week on that product. And this NFT could be maybe unlocked for some like exotic tokens.
Yeah, for us, I think at a high level, we do two things. One is we try and be as consistent and about our messaging. We say, okay, this is how we are creating value, and this is our tokenomics. We keep it as simple as possible, and this is how you can participate. The second thing we do is we pay close attention to the data. We pay close attention to who's yield farming, who are the token holders, are they buying, are they selling, and then is the distribution kind of what we want ultimately when all 100 million tokens are distributed.
Got it. One thing you mentioned there is like the importance, I think kind of echoed across all of your answers, like what, community feedback, rewarding, people that really care about the protocol, which kind of is the ultimate goal, right, of a lot of these DeFi protocols is to become fully decentralized, to be DAO controlled. And so similar to my previous question about like, when do you release a token? When do you decide to move to this like pure kind of DAO governance model about decisions of product decisions about your respective projects? Because on one hand, in the early days of any product, it's helpful to be a little bit more centralized in terms of the development team. You can make quicker decisions versus what you see with a little bit more of the mature DeFi protocols. It's sometimes kind of a mess on coming to decisions on important product evolution. So yeah, I would love to get your guys' opinion on when to implement a DAO.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it's what you said in the beginning. Like we have so many features that we want to release. Once they're on mainnet, everything's bug tested, everything's working properly. And I think that's a natural transition where we can go towards a DAO. But if you do it, I mean, what we've seen early on, if you just go immediately to a DAO, you can get locked up in the proposals, and then the dev team is get kind of slowed down on the process. So that's at least our plan in the future.
I mean, I think we can go to a DAO almost immediately. I mean, maybe I like the Orca approach of like getting product market fit first. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So once you have a product that more or less works, and you can just switch straight to a DAO model, and then it's almost like a homeowners association where you're kind of funding projects that are going to just improve the quality of the protocol overall, whether it's a front end or the smart contract or the marketing, just the overall experience. And that can come from a DAO. And like you said, the decision-making part of it, I feel like if you have product market fit, a lot of those hard decisions and those like design decisions have already been made. And unless you're doing like a massive, pivot or something, then you're screwed. But so long as everything's kind of ticking along nicely, I think it could work.
Yeah, it's never an easy decision when to do it. Actually, we've thought about it, and we want to have like users at first and arbitrageurs and everything onboarded at first before we decide like to move like to DAO things. So that's why we're flowing like quite a few projects. Thinking about Mango Markets, actually, who's going to that transition as well. So we're looking at the different models of what people do, because you have DAO and DAO in a way. You have like fully decentralized DAO with like participation for the code and everything, and you have more like DAO as management, I guess, of the project, like which in our case like new products we bring or everything. So it's not an easy decision, but yeah, we're looking a bit like what people do. And
yeah, I mean, same here. We're kind of looking at what people are doing. It's tricky because the regulatory uncertainty definitely plays a factor. What we see is that, to be honest, there's a lot of decentralization theater out in the crypto ecosystem. And we feel like there's also a lot of inefficiently governed DAOs out in the ecosystem as well. We don't have like fully formed thoughts here, but one avenue we're potentially considering is something that is inspired by like corporate governance, which is something that has been proven out to work, but we're still trying to figure it out right now.
One thing when we were before we got on stage, I asked a few of you about like your funding situation, and some of you have raised outside capital. It seemed like some of you have a different view on maybe taking the more Mango approach, not taking $1 of VC capital and just doing it pure through an IDO type format. Would love to get your guys' thoughts on when to involve venture capitalists or outside investors, institutional investors, versus like running an IDO from the ground up and just being from the community.
Well, yeah, so I wrote the IDO pool code for Mango, so I'm a big pro on that model. I think that, yeah, venture capital, like, you want to make decisions for your company or your project that, like, improve it. And if most of the advantages of venture capital are you get some money, and then on the other side, you get, like, more lawyer hassle. You have to have, like, a legal entity that exists somewhere with a bank account that can receive this money, kind of bullshit like that. And you just get another boss, I don't like bosses. So if there's like a really good strategic partnership that's available, for example, like market makers, they're good people to kind of partner with or take money from if that incentivizes them to, market make on your protocol. But aside from that, if you can, and if you can build, it makes you hungry, so it makes you try to build something fast enough. It's more like the bootstrapping approach, right? You need to get to product market fit or like profitability like much quicker. If you're not just sort of like coasting on, $3 million of VC funds.
Yeah, I mean, I have a ton of respect for projects that pass on VC funding. When Ori and I started, our actual initial plan was to not take any VC money. But kind of given the market conditions, we felt like it was appropriate. And we were also able to sell tokens with Ethereum lockup at essentially $2 a token when it initially started trading at $1. So, we feel like we were able to at least kind of not screw over the retail because, there are legitimate concerns or complaints about VCs taking essentially risk-free money, and we wanted to essentially minimize that.
Cool.
Yeah, go ahead.
We've decided actually to work with a few like strategic VCs because we need like some participants are very familiar with this kind of products, and then we wanted to get them involved as well, like kind of partnership, like they help us on like pricing, arbitraging and everything, and also with some funding, so it's a bit the approach we have chosen. But like you mentioned, yeah, a lot of respect for projects that decide to just do it like without VC, yeah.
I mean, I would also add that VCs do add a ton of value. A lot of it is just not really visible. It kind of happens almost as like an advisory role or resources that they provide for the founders and the team. So, it is definitely tricky, and I still do have a lot of respect for projects that pass on VC funding, but I think there are two sides.
Well, I haven't heard of many projects that have sold VC tokens for like twice the listing price, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think it goes both ways as well. If you can, I started off building GooseFX kind of as a side thing. And then we got a lot of interest, and then we didn't want to raise money in the beginning, just like Uturo, and we started finding VCs and partners that actually were a really good value add. So we were very strict on who we wanted to bring on to the cap table, and so far everyone has been very helpful.
Got it. Do you think this not necessarily related to VC funding, but more the previous question about DAOs and who controls it matters from like a regulatory perspective? I feel like some products are geo-blocked in certain regions, some are not, and they seem to correlate to where their funding source came from, whether they're anon or not. And so I'm curious to know, like, get your guys' perspective on that.
I can comment on this since Orca was blocked from US IP addresses until fairly recently, I think September, if I recall correctly. The reason why we did it was because of, just regulatory risk. There was a lot of uncertainty, and we wanted to at least get the token out before opening it up to all IP addresses. It's definitely not an ideal situation, but we're kind of trying to make the best of, just reality.
We have about 5 minutes left. Wanted to open it up to you guys to maybe just chat a little bit about like what you're really excited about on Solana when it comes to DeFi. What are you looking forward to, and like what do you think the future of the network and ecosystem? So maybe you want to start, Goose.
Yeah, sure. I think there is a myriad of different things. I was just talking with my team earlier, and we were discussing how can we get people onto Solana, like crypto native people. Of course, it might be easier to come and play in DeFi, but there's a lot of people out there that don't know crypto, and then of course they won't know DeFi. And most of those will go to Ethereum, and so we want to bring the best user experience to Solana. So that's kind of one of the core tenets at GooseFX, but also I think projects like Slope, Phantom, Soulflare, etc., all the other wallets, that'll be a great onboarding feature for them. From the Ape Degen side, I'd say I'm most interested in like NFT perps in the future because GooseFX is technically Goose Financial Exchange. So our core thesis is like developing trading products. This is something very out there. I was just talking to Meltem yesterday, and she was talking about Sol perps, and I don't mean Solana perps, but actually the next step, your metaverse, putting your subconscious over there, and then valuing your character and being able to take perp positions on, I guess, your soul. So that's pretty way out there.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I'm just living in the moment, bro. So you know, we're mostly trying to make do with what's available in the Solana ecosystem at the time, rather than sort of being like, oh, in 10 months from now it'll be great. But like right now, yeah, we're just looking at what all the pain points are for our demo launch, and just trying to get rid of as many as possible. Like for example, one of the big issues with using Serum early on was that there was this settle button, and you had to manually settle any maker trades. And a lot of people would come into the Discord and be like, oh, I lost my money, and it's all this stuff. And you just have to hit settle. So I put a bit of effort in and just got rid of that as much as possible, just to kind of like smooth the user flow. So the more stuff that comes out that makes it an easier user experience, I'm excited for.
Yeah, I think actually what's very interesting in Solana is that like recently we got like a lot of great projects. And something that I feel like in the community is like between the projects, people really try to work together, to team up, to see, I'm not going to rebuild this, let's work together, let's try to integrate some functions. Serum is actually one of the best examples, I guess. And it's really something like very pleasant as a developer on a project.
Yeah, I'm excited for so many things. Gaming, DAO tooling, just all the other DeFi primitives building out. And yeah, I mean, just hoping that I have enough time to check everything out.
Cool. Coming down to the end here, one more question though about one thing you mentioned, Goose, was mobile wallets. You know, most of DeFi today is browser extension, web-based. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of people maybe who need DeFi services around the world don't have maybe the desktop or laptop computer. They have a mobile phone just in their pocket. And I think that was the vision for DeFi, right? Was to kind of like bank through this next gen financial system. And so I'm curious, like, how you guys think about DeFi moving to more of like a mobile interface, and how you guys see your products evolving with that movement.
We have a mobile first interface.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, even though there weren't really any mobile wallets, I guess, when we were building it. But yeah, it works quite well on mobile. Foresight.exchange.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah, that's something that we keep at core as well. Like, we want users to just be able to just take out the phone. I mean, we all do it. It's much faster than switching on the computers. And like you mentioned, some people don't even have a desktop computer anymore. So we keep it in mind, yeah.
Yeah, we also built a responsive interface. But even then, we were surprised by how many people, I guess we shouldn't have been, but we were surprised by how many people only use their phone to interact with crypto. My pipe dream is to see essentially like a third operating system that has first-class support for crypto that's not iOS or Android. But who knows? Maybe we will see it. Maybe we won't.
Cool. All right. Well, that's about it for today. Thank you so much for your insights, and I'll see you out there on the pools.
Thank you. Speaking of pools, we're launching GoFX on Orca's pool.
Great.
in 2 days. So you guys can aim into
Awesome.
that.
I'll be there.